This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right, Ira. So tell me, is it just that the Canes and the Heat want to make me age? Is that what it's all about? And good morning.
Well, I will say this. I mean, there are bad losses and there are hideous losses. I'm not so sure I'd put the Heat loss on the road at Indiana in the same area as the Canes debacle. I mean, there's a difference there. The difference also is you're not playing an 11-game schedule. You're playing an 82-game schedule. You have plenty of time to regain your footing. You know how Eric Spoelstra is, Big O. He's constantly telling us there's time. We'll get it together. And Big O, you also know this. There's always this stretch when the Heat wins 11 of 12. They always find their way. They always get right. But when you look in the East right now, there are the Bucks and there are the Cavaliers, and every other team is trying to find their way. The Heat are in that group of teams trying to find themselves. I'm not at critical mass. I do believe the Heat will be bowl eligible, so I think they'll be okay over there. But yeah, I mean, there are questions, and the questions start obviously with the absences, the injuries, and the fact that there's not a lot of boost off the bench because basically their best reserves are starting.
Yeah, no, it's just a little frustrating. I'd like for them to start a little better. The good thing is it's a long season, overall. Tyler had a hell of a game. Also, he played well against the Pacers. And how do you fix that imbalance from the bench? You've talked about, putting Strus in the starting lineup and put Tyler, on the bench. That doesn't seem like that's going to happen because then you'll create a problem for Tyler in all of this. So what's up with the Oladipo thing then?
Yeah, I mean, look, that's the thing. Yesterday, Eric Spoelstra said he was back on the court. He was doing some work at practice, but I've learned one lesson on our Acura Pembroke Pines reports here on Monday and Fridays is I'm making no assumptions with Victor Oladipo because remember, you and I were talking last December and January and February. Vic is close. They're optimistic. Vic has been in the locker room. He's telling us good things. And you've seen this in all the sports you've covered. The chronically injured player at a certain point no longer becomes the reliable player. Anything the Miami Heat get from Victor Oladipo at this point going forward is a bonus. I'm not counting on it. And because I'm not counting on that, I don't know who's going to create in that second unit. That yes, you can keep Jimmy Butler on the floor. You could stagger the minutes. But this isn't, I wrote this in my Ask Ira at the Sun Sentinel this morning at sunsentinel.com. This is not the depth we were told about in the preseason. This was not, I don't know who to play. There are so many players. I'm going to have to go to a 9 or 10 deep to get most of them in there. The Miami Heat are not a team with great depth. Their starting lineup has performed, is plus, has outscored the opposition when those 5 players are on the court, the 5 starters. But their bench has been a net negative. You know what, Big O? You want to be great, you got to be like the Bucks. And you've got to have a positive for your bench as well. We've talked about it over the years. The answer to me still is when Jimmy comes back, like he should tonight from his hip injury, is you put Tyler on that second unit. And you don't have to worry when I look on the court and I go, oh my God, you have Dwayne Dedmon out there. You have Duncan Robinson out there with Gabe Vincent out there. You're just a lot of guys who, hey, wonderful people and great complementary players, but they're not the guys who are going to spark you. And it's not only Tyler. Caleb Martin with his energy sparked them off the bench. Look, Caleb Martin is a backup player in the NBA. He just is. It's what he does. He energizes. But a starting power forward, it's a net negative for this team when he opens at power forward. And we're seeing that also. So, yeah, this team has issues. They're not who we thought they were. And right now, if you're asking me, Ira, even at their best with this rotation, are they a top 4 team in the East? Man, Big O, it's going to come right down to the wire. And when it does, you're going to be sitting there in our Acura Pembroke Pines report going, you see, Ira, this is where the losses to the Kings and the Pacers are biting them again, just like some bad losses in previous seasons.
All right, but so I'm hearing that, but I'm not seeing what the solutions are to all of this. You know what I'm saying? And then and another little thing that I've always kind of been nitpicking on, if we're going to label Bam the franchise player, then when is he going to be the guy that can impose his will offensively game in and game out? And to me, that's the reason why I always argue with everybody that says Bam's a franchise player. I can't in today. See, In the 90s, I could have considered Bam a franchise player. In today's NBA, because it's such an offensive game, I need you to be the kind of player that can impose your offensive will. Ben Wallace no longer would be a superstar in this league. He would be a super role player because he's a defensive player, limited offensively. Now, Bam is not limited offensively, but it seems like he doesn't take that next step offensively. And to me, that's, I think, something that's missing, that Jimmy doesn't have that other star. So I'm trying to find a solution. Oladipo's not going to be that guy. I cannot count on Lowry to be that guy, overall. So who am I looking for? I got to go look at the other guy that's getting paid a ton of money in Bam Adebayo.
Big O, I'm going to disagree with you for this reason. And I'm going to disagree with you and tell you you're right, so then you'll be happy. Kyle Lowry has to be the franchise guy because you're paying him the franchise money. You and I have spoken about this over the years.
But he can't produce it. But he can't produce it.
But if you are
I don't care what you're paying. I don't care what you're paying him. You're not getting your money's worth out of Kyle Lowry at all, ever. You haven't gotten it.
Then you screwed up big time, and you messed up your salary cap, and there's no recourse because this is a salary cap league. We've seen it, with other teams also. So when you pay franchise player money, now I can make an argument that Bam Adebayo is a defensive franchise player. Now you're going to say, Ira, that's not enough. We're in the offensive era of the NBA. You're correct, Big O, but I can make that argument. I don't think Bam Adebayo has it in him. It's interesting. He said he was going to take 18, 19 shots a game this season. He's averaging 13.1. It's not in his mindset to give me the ball. You MFers get out of the way. I'm going to score. It's just not. It's just not who he is.
Okay.
The answer to me is to trade away. The answer to me is to trade away future assets. But Big O, I'm going to ask you this. Since the Big O show will be on the air in 2026, 27, and 28, are you willing to give up an unprotected pick in 26 or 28 to maneuver to get Jay Crowder as a one-year rental? If you're a GM, Big O. No. So that's your answer. My answer is I can answer power forward. I can answer a lot of questions by getting Jay Crowder, starting him at power forward, moving Caleb Martin back to the bench. You have an active 4-position defender who then can come in and Caleb. But you're sort of balancing things. They went deep in their salary cap. I get this from all of our listeners here on the Acura Pembroke Pines Report. Kyle Lowry and Duncan Robinson at $44 million, giving you the production they do. Big O, this is a salary cap league. This is not the Yankees getting one more and paying more of a penalty to the league. This is not a team in a non-cap world being able to do that. They're kind of screwed where they are against the tax, against the hard cap. So the one thing I will say is, though, I still will keep an eye on the Brooklyn Nets. And if there's a deal to be done for Kevin Durant, I would at least try to listen and consider it. So I'll throw it to you. I threw it to Kurt Heelan on redrecover.com inside the page.
Yes.
You would give up Bam Adebayo for Kevin Durant?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And if that's the case, I can honestly say this. This might be the only broadcast venue where you can get that answer. I don't think Kurt's going to give it to us at 9 a.m. on Wednesday. But you know what? I think the Nets, realizing where this is headed, if they do cut ties with Kyrie, if Kevin Durant looks around and said, I got this Ben Simmons who can't play anymore, they'd have to move him also to get Bam. I'm still not sure that Andy Ellisberg's big deal to present the whale on a platter to Pat Riley can't be there. So maybe there's still that possibility. But I want to say this, since this will get aggregated. I'm not saying the Heat are going to trade for Kevin Durant. I'm not saying the Heat can trade for Kevin Durant. But I'm saying as long as the possibility is there, the Heat would at least have to entertain the possibility.
Hell yeah, because as far as I see it, this will be a nice team. They'll make the playoffs. Maybe they'll have a decent, appearance, but they're not winning a title, and that's what this franchise is all about. And that's what Riley's about. That's what the Arison family wants to do. They want to go deep. You want to win the playoffs. Well, then you're going to have to find another star because Jimmy Butler is the only one that can say, here I am, and I'm going to impose my will.
Yeah,
and
on both ends of the court.
Right, and exactly. And there's nobody else that can do that on both sides. And I'm not even asking somebody to be both sides of the court. And this is an offensive game.
Okay.
Get me an offensive player that's a dominant player next to Jimmy Butler, and then you can build all the other pieces and find them. But if Bam's not ready to become that star, and I don't think he ever really will be that star because it's really not in his DNA. I'd rather just put all my chips in and go with Kevin Durant.
Well, it's
And by the
interesting,
way,
Big O.
this is the
If
platform that said Tua was a player and nobody else was on it. So, sometimes, Ira, we're ahead of the curve here sometimes. We told
yes,
everybody you got to fire Dale Talon before anybody ever had the balls to say it, and finally. So
and you didn't want
sometimes,
Ndamukong Suh with that contract either. So I understand the blind squirrel is on a feast right now finding those acorns. I get it. To me, the biggest question about the Heat, which is one I believe Eric Spoelstra, because of the way he comports himself, will never do. If you were to put one of your polls out there, Big O, maybe you want to put it on your YouTube chat or something, and ask who's the biggest what's the biggest disappointment for the Miami Heat over the first 10 games of the season. And I would give you the choices of Victor Oladipo not playing, Duncan Robinson not contributing, Bam Adebayo not asserting himself. I would go with option 4. I'm going to give you right now. Kyle Lowry is nowhere near where he needs to be. Now, you're telling me Kyle Lowry is 36 and will never be that and is over the hill and is done.
He's a waste.
I'm going to tell you this, Big O. If Kyle Lowry is not at least 50% better than what he's showing right now, your Miami Heat are screwed because they are relying on big time. And I'm going to make this point to you. The Miami Heat got rid of a very nice, competent, wonderful, good person in Goran Dragic. Goran Dragic, for what he was asked to be, was very good at it. I think you'd agree with that, Big O, correct?
Yeah. His
Goran fulfilled his mandate. Goran fulfilled his mandate of 2 first-round picks protected to the Suns. He fulfilled that mandate. But they said, no, we need a prototypic floor leader to spread the ball around and get the ball in the right place. And yet at the end of these games, they're not having Kyle set someone up. They're just throwing the ball to Tyler Hero. In some of these games, Kyle's winding up with 2 assists in the second half of a game. If he's supposed to be this prototypic, and I'll give you the name, at the same age, actually a little older, who's getting it done that way in Chris Paul, he's not close. In the Chris Paul list of 1 to 10, how close is Kyle Lowry to Chris Paul right now? He's probably a 3. And that's the problem. And that's the problem. So I know Heat fans, you have all kinds of issues. Yes, Duncan Robinson at that price point is tough. Yes, we're waiting for Victor Oladipo, as Big O said at the top of our Acura of Pembroke Pines report. I get that. Yes, I would love to see the Bam Adebayo, who told us all season, I'm going to get 18 or 19 shots a game or 17, and is getting 13 shots a game. But man, Kyle Lowry is not coming close to his mandate. And if we were to do a report card based on expectations, he's probably a D player right now, Big O.
Oh, yeah, no, there's no doubt. That's why I go directly to Bam, because I skip over Lowry because I just don't count on him. All right, let me switch gears here to the "this will never happen" department. Okay. The Nets have delivered Kyrie Irving 6 things he must complete to return to the team: apologize and condemn the movie, $500,000 donation to the anti-hate causes, sensitivity training, anti-Semitic training, meet with the ADL and Jewish leaders, then meet with Joe Tsai to demonstrate the understanding. There is no shot that guy does all of that to return.
And yet, Big O, I think he could do it in a half-baked kind of way to say, I check the boxes. Let me just finish here. To say I check the boxes, but there should be a number 7 on that list that The Athletic published, and that's this. And never to do something this freaking stupid again, because here's the problem, Big O. Even if he meets the mandate that's set for him, let's say he does cursory, he just does it. He says sort of the right words, and then it's go like, I'll give you a check mark. I'll give you a check mark on 6. If he's going to do it again, and all of a sudden the Nets, we have Kyrie and KD, and we're ready to go again, and Ben Simmons is going to shoot the ball. What I've got to get from Kyrie, you know what I'd like to get from Kyrie, which they should have put on there? And you will shut down your Twitter account, and you will shut down your Instagram, and you will stay off social media at least for the rest of the season. I would have put that in also. Because you know what? Idiocy in October and November, if it's going to be repeated with idiocy in January and February, and then April, it's the same guy. When has Kyrie not been in the middle of such a tempest?
Never. And it's going to continue to happen. And he knows it, and that's why he's not going to end up following all of these steps in the end. By the way, you are officially no longer worried about the Brooklyn Nets. You're more worried about the Heat now than you are the Nets.
Well, I'm more worried about the Heat because I thought the Heat would be better. I've also said from the get-go from this season, I mean, we all sleep on Milwaukee because they're just the accepted sort of boring team with Giannis. They are a great team. You still see the potential with Boston, even with the new coach and what they can be. But I'm backing off Philadelphia a little. Harden's hurt again. It hasn't worked out perfectly. Joel Embiid, if he's going to miss time with injury, is not the same player. So the top of the East is a little bit more there for taking than I thought. But you know what, Big O? The Cavaliers and what they've done, I'm going to give you the example. This summer, when you were talking about whether you should keep PJ Tucker and go hard capped, whether the Heat should wait for a whale, the Cavaliers got a whale in Donovan Mitchell. And oh my God, they are for real. So now when I'm giving you how are the Heat going to get a top 4 seed, I'm putting Cleveland in there as a team you damn well better beat. They play them the third game on their next road trip when they go to Toronto, Washington, Cleveland, and Minneapolis before they come home for Thanksgiving. Cleveland's for real. Kevin Love is the anti-Russell Westbrook. He has settled into that reserve role, and he has embraced it, and he has been great about it. But Cleveland's for real right now with Garland and with Jared Allen and what they have. So
they didn't have to give up anything in that Donovan Mitchell trade. They didn't give up their core. That was the beauty of that trade. They kept their young guys.
But they gave up all of their draft future. And they don't have a draft pick forever, and they did that. They were not going to meet Colin Sexton's price in restricted free agency. So they gave up a nice place, will score a lot of points and losses, although now in Utah it's in wins. But yeah, Cleveland went all in. The Heat would have gone all in, didn't have the assets to match and couldn't make that deal. But that shows you that Donovan Mitchell was a whale and how much of a difference it's making for the Cavaliers.
All right, so final thing there. Does Kyrie do all of that, yay or nay?
He does it in the most cursory of ways where when you and I review the list and you're going to go to me, well, he sort of did that. Well, he sort of said he was sorry. Well, he sort of admitted he was wrong.
Isn't the owner Jewish?
No, the owner Josiah is not Jewish. No, he's from China. But there is Jewish influence on the team, absolutely. Being in Brooklyn, a large Hasidic Jewish Orthodox community.
Oh, no, I know the community. Yeah,
right. Just the worst place for him to pull the BS that he pulled right now. I think because of that, he's untradeable also. But still, I think Kyrie does it in a cursory way, but that's what I would do. I would make number 7, no social media. You're on social media probation. Elon Musk doesn't have to ban you. We're going to ban you. Kyrie will never go for that because Kyrie continues to insist he's the smartest man in the room.
Unless you're Kathy Griffin, then you don't last on Twitter. Did you see that?
Yes, it's all who you criticize and how you do it and what the man is, and I agree.
But Elon's response? Did you see Elon's response?
I did not see his response, no.
His response was, I did not suspend her for impersonating me. I suspended her for impersonating a comic.
You know what? When you own the Twitter, you can do whatever you want. And as long as there's employees left to run Twitter, you still can do whatever you want.
You got to admit, that was a funny line. That was a good line.
It was a great line. But, I mean, she's been through hell from what she tried to do the first time. Yeah.
No, I know the backstory behind it, but I'm just like that whole thing. And by the way, Valerie Bertinelli did the same thing. She changed her Twitter profile to Elon Musk. I don't know if he's suspended America's darling. So,
no, and I might have to start a GoFundMe to keep my blue check mark. So we'll talk about that down the road.
You don't have $8 a month to keep that blue check mark?
You know what? $96 to give to the world's richest man just seems like a bit much. That's my point.
Yeah. Although I will say the edit thing is awesome because I'm an idiot. I always tweet out stuff and I always misspell something, misplace something somewhere. So I get to hit the edit button and fix it. And that's it. So, yeah, it's a business expense. It is what it is. All right. Ira, follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat. Catch his work there at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. What are you doing to prepare us for the Trailblazers?
Well, instead of preparing for the Trailblazers, I posted a feature this morning on Jamal Cain's wild ride. He joined the Heat in Indiana on Friday, was playing in Iowa, the rare Indiana-Iowa back-to-back. And I talked to all the Heat players who are in two-way contracts. What's it like? And Caleb Martin said he never unpacked his bag between Charlotte and Greensboro. Duncan Robinson said you don't even feel like you live in Sioux Falls. You were on call all the time. And Gabe Vincent gave me the best answer. You take the longest possible flight from Sioux Falls to Miami because you maximize your frequent flyer miles. So I have all the guys' stories on what two-way life is like. It's a really interesting read. I hope people will go to sunsentinel.com and check that out.
Check it out there and follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat. Ira, as always, thank you. We'll catch you on Wednesday for the RedRecovery.com Inside the Paint Show.
And then back on Friday with our next Acura Pembroke Pines report. Thank you, Big O.
Thank you, sir. There you go. Ira Winderman and our Acura Pembroke Pines Miami Heat and NBA report.